have slides because, as Leanne said, I taught middle school for 34 years, and I'm very used to audiences not paying attention to me. So I brought you some visuals. And I love the logo of the Center for Inquiry: reason, science, secular values. What a wonderful thing. These are the 3 programs of the CFI Education Department. I won't be speaking about Generation Skeptics and Science Saves, but we have a lovely table outside with Julia and Debbie and other people who know a lot about this. But Generation Skeptics is teaching kids to identify misinformation. Very big deal, very popular right now. And Science Saves is simply about promoting science appreciation. But I'm here to talk to you about TIES, the Teacher Institute for Evolutionary Science. And I'm sorry, Richard, I'm telling the story again. I know, some people, I love this story. How did TIES begin? It's amazing how TIES began. I'm a lifelong Richard Dawkins fan. I've read every book. And I met him briefly on a few occasions when he was in Miami. And on one occasion, I believe it was like 2014, I told him that teachers have to lead professional development for other teachers, and what I would always do is evolution stuff. I was currently teaching a session on Your Inner Fish by Neil Shubin, and he said, wow, that sounds great, and he introduced me to Robin. And I emailed them that evening how I wholeheartedly agreed with the philosophy of the Richard Dawkins Foundation, and I'm teaching, it's 11 a.m., I'm teaching weather, occluded fronts, stationary fronts, cold fronts, and the phone rings. And it's a Washington, D.C. number. I'm thinking, what the heck? Who? Oh, maybe it's that Robin Blumner person. And I get the phone, and it's Richard Dawkins telling me that he wants to help me teach these teachers about evolution. I mean, think about that. Yes. Yes. And after I pulled myself off the floor and ran to my neighbor teacher and said, please watch my class, please watch my class, I ran to the principal and I got on my knees and I grabbed her by the ankles and said, please, please, please make this happen. You have to so make this happen. And Richard came to my middle school. And it just so happened that that was the day that kids are released early and teachers have to go through professional development. Miami-Dade County opened it up to all the science teachers in the district that wanted to come. And we sat on the stage of this George Washington Carver. I worked at a school named after a scientist, which I think is super awesome. And my students and my fellow teachers from all over the county came. By the way, the little boy in the red sweater, I'm sorry, Brendan, I have to embarrass you. That's my son, and he's 6 foot tall now, and he's sitting in the back. So I had to say it, sorry. And Richard said, would you do this for me nationally? I was like, what? Hold on. I'm just a middle school science teacher. I don't know about this stuff. And I thought to myself, where do I begin? How do I do this kind of professional development nationally? And this quote jumped out at me. Requiring all teachers to complete a course in evolutionary biology would have a substantial impact on the emphasis on evolution. This quote is from the National Center for Science Education. I think we need to make a shout out for them. Their founding executive director is here, Dr. Eugenie Scott. They are by far, I think, one of the greatest defenders of evolution education that we have in this country. We also have here Glenn Branch, who I thought was this amazing internet bot that any question I asked him about evolution education policy, anti-evolution laws, academic freedom laws, he always gave me the right answer. And yesterday I met him. He's real. I had to touch him to make sure that this guy was like real. So this is a quote from that organization. And along the same lines, this quote is on my desk at home. I truly believe that good teachers can teach just about anything, as long as they have the resources and content knowledge to do so. And that is what I based the Teacher Institute for Evolutionary Science on. So I thought, where do I begin? The thing is, I teach in Florida. I was preparing professional development lessons for the entire country. So I go to Georgia, I go to Kansas. What do they teach? What's their middle school evolution standards? And it was Glenn Branch who suggested I do a state-by-state comparison of the middle school science standards across the country. So that's what I did. I got 4 reviewers together. We looked at every state's middle school, mind you, not high school, middle school education standards on evolution. And this is what my grading rubric looked like. Did they use the term evolution? Did they actually define the term evolution? Those have to be separate because some states mention evolution, but they don't call it evolution. They'll call it change over time. What kinds of evidence did they give for evolution? Most states, if they taught evolution, hit fossils, but they may not hit all the other ones. Like Richard Dawkins says in his book, The Ancestors' Tales, fossils are just the icing on the cake at this point. We have genetics, we have homologous structures, we have we have a lot of other stuff other than fossils. So how many lines of evidence were they teaching about? Were they mentioning natural selection? Did they define natural selection? And adaptation? And did they define it? And this was my grading rubric, so it was a simple 1 to 10, whether you were gonna get an A, B, C, D, or F. And here are my 2017 grades. The kind of like the opposite of a bell curve, right? We had 23 A's, yay Florida. And we had, 15 F's, not so much in the middle. Here I come, I get invited to speak at the Scopes Trial. So I thought, okay, I should do this again. So I did this again about 2 months ago. Are you ready? What do you think? Are you giving, nah? No, really, I want to know. What do you think? You think it's going to get better or it's going to get worse? I know. I know. I know you want to see those 2 maps side by side because I taught for a very long time. There you go. I know you need that. Wow, we've got an outlier, folks. We've got an outlier. And actually in 2023, I just read this, that their textbook adoption process did not go very well in Texas. But wow, this is good news. I'm infusing a little optimism into the morning here. Yeah. 100 years after the Scopes trial, and of course, I'm a science teacher, so I had to make a data table. A graph, excuse me, oh my God. I've been out of the classroom for 2 years. So that's kind of what happened. There's your movement. I had 23 A's, and then I went up to 38, at 25 F's, and it went down to one F. But let me give you some more important points. I know you're looking for your states. 9 states went from F to A. 3 states went from D to A. Which did not improve too much? Ohio, Oklahoma, and Texas. And I had 1 state go down. North Carolina. They went down. That was very strange. It was the only one. So what did I see? What were the general trends in middle school evolution standards? First of all, an increased explicitness. Remember I said that some states called it change over time, but didn't use the term evolution? Now they use the term evolution. Much more focus on evidence, not just fossils anymore. Now we were talking genetics, comparative anatomy, artificial selection. Much more real-world examples of natural selection. We were addressing misconceptions. For example, the state of Florida has a standard that says, teach the kids the difference between theory, law, fact, hypothesis. That's a big deal. That's wonderful. And also, it was being integrated more into other biological concepts. It wasn't just biology is stamp collecting kind of thing. It's like evolution is the underlying theme of the whole science. So that's the trends that I saw. Why? What was going on? I know you're wondering, wow, that's a big change in 8 years. So the big change, in my opinion, is what's called the next generation science standards. In 2013, a group of experts got together and they decided to develop national standards. And their vision was to make inquiry-based science that reflects the way science is practiced in the real world and encourage critical thinking, problem solving, etc. This is another map. So the blue states were NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards, when I did the study in 2017. The orange states adopted NGSS since my study, and NGSS means you get an A. It's very good stuff. Now, the green states are interesting. They haven't adopted NGSS, but they almost just should, because they have the same colors. I don't know why it's not called plagiarism, because they have the same colors, they have the same wording. Everything's exactly the same, except, for example, North Dakota, instead of Next Generation Science Standards, it's the North Dakota Science Standards, but it's the same stuff. Gray states. Sorry, 3 days ago, I wouldn't have been able to do this at all. Florida, New York, Pennsylvania had very strong standards without NGSS. And some of the other ones have adopted. Maryland, New Hampshire adopted, but they were already an A state. And then the other grays, Virginia's an A now, but the other grays are the ones that you saw that are not necessarily A's. More good news. Evolutionary concepts are now at Mississippi is introducing this stuff in the elementary school. This is great, right? I mean, I know this is not what you were expecting here today. Traits, variation, adaptations, fossils, natural selection, all of this stuff, but that means teachers need to learn this, you know? Remember I told you that content. Here with me today is a teacher, Mary Martinez. She's sitting with my son. We team taught together for 4 years. It was the best 4 years, I think, of my career. I enjoyed teaching with her so much. And she really knows her earth space science. Ask her about her jewelry if you run into her. All her jewelry is like super cool rock stuff. I know nothing about rock stuff. So I'd walk up to her. The kids would ask me, Ms. V, what's this rock? And I'd say, I don't know. What do you think it is? And I'd go to Mary and I go, you know, or I'd lick it because some of the rocks taste like salt or whatever. And that's the point. If I mess up and I tell a kid this is metamorphic when it's sedimentary, who cares? I mean, it's wrong, I know, but it's not going to kill me. But if I mess up on evolution or climate change, there's a risk involved. They might go home. These are controversial topics. And so what happens is teachers don't teach it at all. They're scared to teach a topic they don't really understand if they're going to get in trouble for it. Thank you. The hot toddy last night that Susan gave me for my throat was good, but this is better. So I thought I really got to give content, and I really got to give resources. So if you go, and I wanted it to be free, and I wanted it to be easy. So any resource that you download from the Teacher Institute for Evolutionary Science comes with your lesson plan, comes with your rubrics, comes with the answer keys. If you click on answer key, it says, ha, 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 email Bertha. This is not online. Because, you know, it's like Scooby-Doo, those darn kids, they find it. So anyway, everything's organized by category: natural selection, fossils, genetics, human evolution, etc. In addition to that, we do monthly webinars with wonderful biologists and authors that teachers are allowed to invite their students, and they're recorded. And we wrote a book. And our book has 13 different science teachers in it, all over the country: high school, middle school, rural, urban, religious, atheist, and we have fundraised to give those books out at the conferences. I know it's very important to explain misconceptions, so we do a lot about that on the website and in the professional development sessions. Theory is I'd say this is the biggest problem, and even scientists use this word kind of casually. Oh, I have a theory that the burglar came in through the window and out through the front door, and that's not how the term scientific theory should be used. I often tell the students, and I tell the teachers to tell the students, do you want a doctor to wash his or her hands before they do surgery on you? Nah, that's just a theory. Right? So to teach the difference of the common use of the word theory versus the scientific word. And this thing, oh my gosh, this thing. Google evolution. This is going to be, other than a few finches, you know, you're going to get like 100 of these. And I just read Brenda Wineapple's book, and this was explained by one of the experts that they did not allow to testify in front of the jury, but this was explained in the trial, that we did not come from a monkey. And I get this all the time. So we do a lot on evolutionary trees and the relatedness there. I also try to do quick things, because I know some teachers don't have time, but I love bell ringers that might put the teachers at ease, put the kids at ease. So, true story, I had a dog named Jinx, and I bought Jinx, she had fleas, and I bought the stuff you put on the back of the neck, and it didn't work. And I went to my vet, and I said, hey, the stuff you put on the back of the neck, that doesn't work. She goes, oh yeah, that doesn't work anymore. So I teach evolution after genetics, and I explain this to the kids, and this is a bell ringer means it's a quite quick, like 5-minute thing that you do at the beginning of the class. The kids figure out that some fleas have developed a mutation that make them resistant to this medicine. They survive, they reproduce, stuff doesn't work anymore. And I put my feet up on the desk, I say, okay, great, we finished evolution, let's move on to ecology, right? If a kid whose parents find this topic controversial goes home, says, what'd you do? What'd they teach you about evolution? You talk about fleas and Jinx. It's a little more palatable. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of true. That happened to my dog. I think it was in Georgia, and one of the teachers mentioned that it was fleas, but in her carpet, not on her dog. Same thing happened. So there you go. We use real-life examples of natural selection. This is Peter and Rosemary Grant. They have been studying the natural selection in real time taking place in the Galapagos Islands. And I developed a lab on this where the birds, AKA the students, are eating wet food. And then there's this terrible drought, and I changed the raisins, or gummy bears I usually use, to M&Ms. And we see what happens to the different phenotypes of beak. I also do it with the teachers, and that lady is cheating. You're supposed to take one at a time. Now, in my classroom, I put the birds' beaks in their mouths. And I do this because I trust these kids, but it's really, really fun. And I'm Mother Nature, and I could kill them, and I want to. And there's 3 different years of kids there doing that. We also have developed a really fun online game where they have to make this species survive 1 million years. Let me give you an idea of what I mean by NGSS standards versus more traditional learning. More traditional learning, you would teach students the 4 conditions necessary for natural selection to take place. There must be variation in a population. Not everybody survives to reproduce. Those that reproduce have some sort of advantage, and that advantage is heritable. And then you would make them play this game where they choose little creatures that have different variation, some environmental impact happens, and you see who survives, who reproduces, etc. What NGSS explains is don't tell them anything. Just let them play the game. Let them figure it out. And so they both work, I think, personally, but that's cool. I want you to hear, if you can, these are my students playing the game, and I love it. They think they're having fun, and I'm hearing, there's no variation, and I this like music to my ears. Oh, shoot. Can we go back? Thank you. Can we hit play? That is a video. It's really fun. Ah, thank you. I see they're trying. Down there. If you were students, you'd all be yelling. Go to the arrow at the bottom. Go to the arrow at the bottom. Yes, I know. Stop. I don't miss that. And the best thing about team teaching with Mary is I could go to the bathroom when I wanted to. It's right under the kid with the orange shirt. Oh, you want me to be the middle schooler telling you what to do? Ah.
You're all naked. You're all naked. It's
They're having fun. It's really fun. Another one I did was, see, middle school does not include human evolution. Most of the time, that happens in high school, okay? High school adds a few things to the curriculum. But what if we did natural selection with the variation in the human skull? Hey, you can use humans if you wanted to. So we created this lab where you're comparing the skulls of these different organisms. This is a very expensive lab because you have to buy the skulls. It's like, sometimes it could be like $5,000. So I created it with the help of a friend who's a dentist using paper models. And thanks to wonderful donors here, at SciCon and TIE's donors, we also create 3D printed skulls and give them out at the conferences. We talk about things like the drawbacks to our wonderful brains and our skulls. We also have some issues, like the congestion that I'm feeling right now is due to the fact that the drainage hole on this sinus is at the top and not at the bottom, which is ridiculous. So I wanted to show you, these are just students just hands-on working. Again, NGSS, don't tell them anything, let them figure it out, let them see the trends in the different skulls and changes over time. Now, I actually have the nice skulls, so. We also use the Smithsonian site, which has all of these skulls 3D. The kids could, see around, turn them around, see the palette, etc. Now, not everything we use is created by me or other TIES teachers. This is a wonderful lab by HHMI, Howard Hughes Medical Institute, about stickleback fish. These fish have these spines to protect them from predators, but the fish in the lakes, this is in Alaska, do not have the spines. Look at the fish on the left. They don't have the bottom spine. The two big ones on the bottom right do. Why? And they have to kind of go through it and figure out what's going on. Now, during the pandemic, if you recall, we kind of left school around March. And that's right when people teach evolution. So I created some asynchronous lessons, which asynchronous is a word I never want to hear again for the rest of my life. But those units were downloaded over 2,000 times. They just, everybody needed them at that moment, that the kids could do this at home without teachers around. We've also done amazing things, like taken teachers on a 10-day Grand Canyon tour, thanks to donors. And I wanted to just show you photos. I was so concerned I wasn't going to be able to speak that I put a lot of photos in here. This is just so you see what TIES workshops look like. TIES in action, let's say. By the way, we had one TIES workshop at a church. I think that's awesome. And that TIES teacher happens to be here. I don't know if she wants to say hi, but there she is, presenting at a church. Kathleen. There you are. I was like, this is the best use of a church I've ever seen in my life. So you can see they're doing some of the same labs I just mentioned to you. So the teachers try them out, and then they're going to take them back to their classroom. Sometimes they can't because it's standing room only like this. I believe that was Texas. It's really hard to take it home. We also give away a lot of stuff, and we also have wonderful experts who come. So that's Dr. Nathan Lentz, who wrote Human Errors, and he comes on his own dime and presents to these teachers. We partner with zoos, and then part of the time they get a tour of the zoo and they get to play with the animals. This is Birmingham Zoo. The Kookaburra, I believe, is in Montana. This was in somewhere out west, I think Idaho. We have fossil experts that come. This was one of my favorite experts. Dr. Joel Brown at the University of South Florida is studying cancer as if we're an organism going through natural selection. Fascinating stuff. And he was happy because I had skulls, dog skulls with me. We also table events. That's my wonderful associate, Kenny Coogan. I don't know what I would do without him. And we give away stuff, and we meet teachers that way. Giveaways! Thank you. We reach out to a lot of donors, and they send us books, shirts, all sorts of stuff to give away. Food! Teachers need food. You tell them there's going to be pizza, they will show up. As Leanne was saying, lots of workshops. I'm very proud of what we've done, Richard, just us sitting together talking about, can I come and help these teachers? Look what we've done. We've helped a whole mess of teachers all over the country. That one phone call while I was teaching weather, and I get a lot of wonderful comments all the time. This is my favorite. I cannot thank you enough for what you've done making TIES the most useful Evo Ed group for middle schoolers in the country. I've expanded to elementary school. Sitting at that table is like 200 years of elementary school experience. I got all my friends together, and they helped me develop evolution units for elementary school. If I thought middle school teachers didn't know anything, oh my God, they're the best teachers out there, elementary school, but gosh, they could use some help. So we developed some elementary school resources, and Elizabeth Shreve, who's the author of several of those books, came to Miami, and in collaboration with a local bookstore, Books and Books, we gave away 1,000 of her books on evolution to Title I schools, to 1,000 students in Title I schools in Miami, and I'm repeating this again with Bailey Harris this fall. Also, starting Tuesday, I'm trying something new. Starting in 3 days, I am teaching an online evolution course through Adams State University. We have 48 people signed up at this point. I want to mention that all of the beautiful drawings in this presentation are in this lovely book. Maria Hinich is a Mexican professor. She asked me to translate this book for her into English, and all of the beautiful drawings in this presentation are in this book, and this book's out the side, and she gives me every book I want. She sent me at least 50 of these, so all proceeds will go to TIES. It's a beautiful book. So should we be hopeful? I had to look up this number again this morning. 6 a.m., I'm like, this can't be true, this can't be true, this can't be true. It's true. I read it again. And you know where the big movement is happening is in this group. The group of religious fundamentalists shifted towards acceptance of evolution, rising from 8% in 1988 to 32% in 2019. I know, right? Why? I think it has a lot to do with the wonderful science communicators we have out there and wonderful textbooks. And again, speaking of the National Center for Science Ed, Ken Miller is the author of the textbook in Florida, and it's a great textbook. But I think I'd like to give credit. I know that the standards have just recently changed, so we can't give credit of this amazing acceptance rate, positive change in this acceptance rate to these new standards. But I want to give credit to teachers all over the country, because I think they're the ones making this change, and I want to thank them. Those are some of the. Do you have teachers here? Teachers! Woohoo! And I want to thank you for letting me present. And I think we've come a ways from the Scopes trial, right? We're doing a little better. It's not illegal anymore anyway. So thank you.